Hi guys, I don't often agree with Laura Kuenssberg, but she was right on the money when she listed off the problems that ordinary people are going through and how talk of increasing taxes a little on rich people or making tweaks to inheritance will not really cut it. Labour may be pushing through some good policies when it comes to workers' rights and changes to private schools, but they will be judged on whether they're improving things for ordinary people. Here the Chancellor sat down with the BBC journalist in what can only be described as a car crash attempt to defend the stuff the government got wrong. Have a listen.
The problem is when our viewers, some of them, look at what you've done, they don't think that you are sticking to the promises you made. David got in touch to say when people voted Labour to remove the Tories, they did not expect a continuation of Tory policies. Again, you're choosing to cut welfare. You've already taken winter fuel payments from most pensioners. What do you say to David? He's looked at what you're doing and is saying, that's not a Labour government I voted for.
At the moment, we've got 1,000 people a day going on to personal independence payments.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What you're supposed to start off with by saying is, these are not Tory policies. These are Labour policies. Now, of course, that will be untrue. These are Tory. Austerity is a Tory policy. Punishing the most vulnerable in society is a Tory policy. But at least try and convince people what you're doing is not a Tory policy. But then that's practically impossible. Her response is immediately to go and say, PIP is the problem. 1,000 people are going. It doesn't seem to be the case of 1,000 people going on PIP. 1,000 people are applying for PIP. But, 2,000 children are born every day. I don't have figures for how many people die every day. So that's just a transition. People come of age and they apply for PIP. That's not their fault. She's trying to imply that they're the problem. That's a Tory way of thinking. That's not a Labour way of thinking.
For the people who need support, we will continue to protect them, and that's the guarantee that I will make. This is about some of things
that you are doing, and we've got viewers who've been getting in touch with us this week. Another one, Janice. She's quoted what the Prime Minister said to us, saying, as he said, the broadest shoulders should bear the heaviest burden. Is this really pensioners, the sick and the disabled? What do you say to her?
Well, at the budget last year, we froze fuel duty and we didn't increase the taxes that working people pay, their national insurance, income tax or VAT. But we did increase taxes on the wealthiest. We've got rid of the non-dom tax status, VAT on private schools. We increased capital gains tax, and we tightened up the rules around inheritance tax. At the same time, we increased taxes on business.
But why
what did we use that money for?
The impression, because politics is about often what people feel the government's doing in their name. And for these people who've been getting in touch with us this week, and perhaps many people watching at home, you've given them the sense that you're not the Labour Party who made promises to them in the election. You've been doing things like cutting the winter fuel payment, cutting welfare. This week we expect you to cut the budgets of some government departments. Have you not got the story right? Or are they right to think that actually you've changed your mind on lots of things?
Well, we inherited a huge black hole, £22 billion black hole in the
Laura Kuenssberg is right here. It's not about what you think you're doing. It's about how people feel. I keep saying this, and people don't seem to understand it. It's not about what you actually achieve. It's how people interpret what you have achieved or have not achieved. In the US, the Biden administration was talking about how great they were improving things. But the public did not feel that. So they decided to vote against the Democratic Party, against Kamala Harris. And they put Donald Trump in charge. A lot of people didn't vote for Donald Trump because they liked Donald Trump. They voted against the incumbent. Rachel Reeves doesn't seem to understand that. If you want people to support you, you need to convince them that you're doing something in their favour that's going to help them. And talking about, well, we had to, we inherited this disaster from the Tories and all of this, and this is why we have to punish people. Because they feel punished. It doesn't matter what your justification is. They feel punished. They feel that they're getting a raw deal. They're expecting you to improve things for them. Once again, It doesn't matter if growth is 10%. If people don't feel it, they're going to vote you out. They're going to replace you with somebody else. Now, I keep saying this as well. The Conservatives are all doom and gloom. The Labour Party, so far, are doom and gloom. Well, we have to cut this, we have to cut that. We inherited a disaster. They talk down the economy. There's no hope. They're not presenting any hope for the future. Keir Starmer was admitting that maybe the situation is going to get worse, that people are going to be poorer by 2030. Now, who benefits from that? Nigel frigging Farage benefits from that because Nigel Farage has a positive message. We're going to make things great. We're going to grow the economy. We're going to reduce immigration, which some people like. We're going to reduce the NHS waiting list. We're going to make things... Nigel Farage doesn't actually have to have any policies. All he needs is vibes. All he needs is to sell the public a positive message. Because the two mainstream parties are selling negativity, and people will not vote for that. If you're in a desperate situation, you can't pay your bills, you're struggling to feed your family, and a political party is selling you more negativity, are you going to buy that? Or are you going to listen to the guy down the street who's saying, look, I'm going to make things better for you? If you have nothing, you have nothing to lose. So Labour, if they want to improve their standing with the public, they need to, first of all, I believe that they need to put in policies that will benefit people, but they also need to convince people that they're on their side. And talking about, well, we inherited disaster and we need to cut this, that and the other, and there are too many people on benefits or too many people on paper, young people are not joining the workforce, everything negative, you're going to turn people off. And you're going to be removed, and then you're going to have a post-mortem where you're going, oh, what the hell went wrong? What went wrong is that you didn't support people, or you didn't convince people that you're on their side. There's a real chance, it's growing by the day, that Nigel Farage becomes Prime Minister or he gets into power in some way. The polls don't represent this at the moment. But if he forms some sort of coalition with the Conservatives, there's a chance that he gets in. And he would get in because he's, once again, convincing people to vote for him because he has a more positive message than the other mainstream parties. When Labour won the election, they won a massive majority, but it was extremely thin. In second place in many constituencies was Reform UK. A number of cabinet ministers could lose their seats to Reform UK candidates. The election is a long time away. There's time to change things. But if they don't, if they continue this doom and gloom, they're going to usher in a Reform UK government in some form. And that would not be good for people. Look at what's happening across the pond.